Welcome to the Financial Freedom Mastermind Group podcast. Here we're all about breaking free from the 40 to 50-year work grind and accelerating our journey towards financial freedom. Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern as we explore different types of investments that can fast-track your path to financial independence. We serve as a hub for connecting with fellow members during our sessions so you can share successes, ask questions, and keep the momentum going.
Good evening, everyone. This is Niyi Adewole, host of the Akaba Home Financial Freedom Mastermind Group, and I'm excited to be joining you here on this Wednesday before heading out for the holidays. I know a lot of people are going to be traveling for Thanksgiving next week, and man, once Thanksgiving hits, it really accelerates to the end of the year. So I hope that you've been on track to achieving your goals and that you're still remaining focused in this last month and a half of the year. And so we're going to kick this open session off with our quote. And the quote is, if you're not living with a purpose, you are just surviving. And this comes back to having a why. We talk about this all the time with our clients, especially when we first do our introductory calls. But what is your why? Why is purpose. What are you doing all this for? Any real estate deal that you get into or profession you get into is going to have its ups and downs. That's just a part of life. But you have to have a strong why or a strong purpose of why you're pushing through some of the downtimes to make it attainable. And so that's a huge thing. I think everybody should have a strong why, a strong purpose, and should be striving for something, because at the end of the day, that's what actually keeps us going. There was a statistic that I read a few years ago that said that 75% of people that retired and did not have a hobby or something else that they focused on firmly after retirement passed away within 5 years. And it just goes to show, like, we were meant to work and do something. It may not be, physical labor, but you should be doing something mentally stimulating or something of that nature each day, and have a why of what you're going for. Jumping into the three questions that we have for today. The first one is, looking to purchase my first ever real estate investment. Is it better to buy on market or off market? And so when you look at buying on market versus off market, I look at this as if you were trying to ride a bike. Buying on market, you're riding a bike with training wheels. It's going to allow you to have some protections in place. There's certain disclosures that have to be given to you, and there's many speed bumps along the way that would allow you to back out of the deal and get your earnest money. Buying off market is more like riding a motorcycle with no helmet, right? You really need to know what you're doing, because at any instant you could be buying a bad deal or you could lose your earnest money. And so I'll give you an example, right? We've helped plenty of clients do their first deals on market. And I actually just met with a seller who is potentially going to sell the property to us to allow us to flip it, because they're way in over their heads, who bought with somebody else their first property off market. They went to an auction and they bid for a property, and they bought this property for $75,000. But what they did not know is that it had a $190,000 lien from the bank on that property. And so what looked like a slam dunk deal where they were going to come in and put about $50K into renovations and make out, now looks like even if they put the $50K into renovations, they'd still lose money on the sale. And so now they're looking to try to get out before having to do all of that. And so long story short, the recommendation I had to this individual was looking on market, because it gives you a little bit more protection than off market. But once you get your feet underneath you and you start to crush it and do a couple of deals, absolutely you can start to look off market. I just would not recommend that for your first one. I don't believe that's needed. One deal is not going to make you a millionaire. That first deal is to get you to the second deal, which gets you to the third, which over time will build wealth. The second question: I am a high income earner with not a lot of time, looking to do my first deal. Should I purchase a flip or buy a long-term rental, buy and hold? And so for somebody who's a high income earner, to go and start doing flips is not only going to take a good portion of your time, so you're going to have to divert some of your time from wherever you're earning that income over to the flips and to learn that whole business, but it's also going to increase your income and increase your taxable income in that year. I was a high income earner when I was in medical device sales, and that was one of the whole benefits of getting to that real estate investing is building up that depreciation over time so I could use that to offset some taxes in the future and then eventually moving into commercial spaces and short-term rentals to where I could offset actively even while I had the W-2. And so long story short, I would recommend going to purchase more of a buy and hold property where it's going to be a little bit less on you because you're a high income earner. Focus on continuing to crush that as long as you continue to like your job and put those funds into buy and holds. A flip is essentially getting another job. You'd essentially be having two jobs, your W-2, and then also this flipping business that you're trying to learn. And the third question I got is how do you pay for furniture in your Airbnbs? And the key is I do not pay for the furniture in my Airbnbs. That will get very expensive very quick. On average, it's going to cost you about 5 to 7 grand per bedroom for the whole house. So a 3 bedroom could cost you anywhere from 15 to 19, right? And 4 bedroom costs you 20 to 24 or so, right? To fully furnish that whole Airbnb. And so what I do and recommend to clients is I take out a 0% interest credit card that is zero interest for 12 or 15 months. You can get this through like Amex, Blue Card, I believe. You can get this through some of the Chase cards. And I utilize that card to fully furnish all the B&Bs that I go for. And then I use the income from the Airbnbs to pay off the credit card over those 12 months or 15 months before that card is due. And so that's a little hack that we utilize within the team to keep some money in the bank. Even if you have the funds for the furniture, it's a great way to stretch it out and get an interest-free loan from a bank. And so that wraps up the 3 questions of the week. We're going to open this thing up to anybody that wants to join or throw questions in the chat. Please feel free. This is an open session tonight, and I look forward to connecting with you. Also, while we're waiting for those to join and or questions in the chat, if you want to go ahead and hit that follow button on YouTube or on your favorite podcast, that would be awesome. It would support us and we would appreciate it. And please let me know if you like the new format. We're trying to make it more actionable and actually pull in some of the conversations that we have on a weekly basis that may not come up on the call. But these are questions that we actually get asked as the Acaba Home Realty team, the investor-friendly realtors. And so we're trying to bring that to a medium where you can kind of get the answer even beforehand, and or if this was something that was burning in your mind from months ago or weeks ago, hopefully we're helping clear up some of those questions.
Hi, Niyi.
There he goes. I like the light. Come on now. He's back and better than
I had
ever.
to do
Kanao, how you
this.
doing?
Good, good, good. So,
That's good, man.
yeah,
That's good. I think you had a
yeah, I had
question
a
coming in. I
question,
couldn't
but
read it though.
I've been trying to make a decision as the year runs to an end, just planning for my next purchase next year. And one of the things I wanted to do was refinance my car to my LLC. But the issue I'm having right now is depreciation of my car by like over 15 to $17,000, and now the bank is asking that I pay off that amount, right? The depreciated amount, and maybe like an extra, so maybe like total of like $17,000 for me to be able to refinance my car to my LLC. And in my mind, I'm thinking, does this would make sense because it would help me to increase my loan potential for next year, right? But at the same time, cash spending that cash, is it really worth it for me right now? Is such a tough decision. But
Yeah, and you said you'd have to pay 17,000 to
yeah,
move it over to the LLC? Yeah, my initial thoughts, and I am not a lender, anything like that, is no, right? I think it's one where if you're gonna buy a car, if like you needed a car, I would buy it through the LLC. Actually, that's how I got my Tesla, right? I bought it through the Realty LLC because I
yeah,
need a car to drive around, and so that was like tax write-offs, things of that nature. But if you've already purchased the car and you're making the payments, I don't know that it makes sense. You should just go and if you have the funds, keep those funds to the side. And if anything, if you need to qualify for more, we've had clients that needed to pay off a car note or a credit card bill, and the loan officer will tell you that. And so they'll take that payment at closing and mail it off and kind of make it happen from there. But I wouldn't do that proactively if you don't have to, because you don't know yet. If they say, hey, you don't need to, then you're good to
true
go.
though. Yeah, because I think about it. I mean, it's just just understanding that I don't want to just let go of that cash just because of the car is what is probably keeping me from making that decision. But I get you. Like if I had the opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to buy it, I don't
Mm-hmm.
think I had my LLC when I actually bought my car. But these are like things that I feel like I'm learning right now that I should have done because the truth of the matter is that the car actually does a lot of work for me in terms of running the different Airbnbs I run. And so it should have been a business car, not even a personal car, because it does more of that than personal use.
And you can still take all the same benefits. Me doing that just made it a little bit easier to take the full car as like, hey, just take this
Yeah.
completely off, right? But you're still able to track your miles and take those benefits in this tax year. It just takes a little
Mm,
more effort.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Desmond, how you doing?
What's up, guys? How are you? Doing
Come
well.
on now. Super good, man. I'm just getting ready for Thanksgiving.
Yes, sir. Holiday season. It always comes
Yes,
around sooner than you think, I feel like.
absolutely. It just creeps up on you. One minute you're in October, the next minute you're writing your New Year's resolutions, man.
Yeah, no, seriously. So I need to get on that. Writing
Yeah, yeah,
resolutions.
and actually write it down this time. So you
Absolutely.
don't want to see it in your head. I want to see you looking at a paper.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A digital paper right now, or in these
Yeah,
days, but yeah, for sure.
that's fair. That's fair. Is your because I know last time we talked last week, right? You're pretty much up and running now, or
Dude,
close.
I am finally. Oh my goodness. So one of the units is back up, and actually a guy booked it for this past Monday. So Monday till next Monday, so 7 days. Um, and it's crazy because I just opened it up on Sunday, so I was scrambling that whole day trying to get it together and like really like make it like decent for someone to come in there. And I haven't even updated the pictures yet, and he had booked it. So I sent him a quick message like, "Hey, we did some renovations, whatnot. Some of the pictures are pretty different, so just be aware of that." But he was like chill with it and has enjoyed his stay so far. So yeah, man, that one's up and running, and then the next one, um, it's up. There's like a couple of small things I still need to do, just like handyman stuff. But yeah, man, like I'm pretty much done. Grand finale. I haven't really like posted anything on Instagram just because I've been so busy about it. So I'm gonna like post some, kind of before and after pics and whatnot, and kind of show the process. But yeah, it was a grind for like a month and a half. I was like GCing this renovation, and it definitely taught me a lot. Taught me a lot about just like you know construction and whatnot, and renovation and managing and running a project. So it was cool, but definitely glad to be done for sure.
Come on now. And I got a question for you on this because I know it's something that other people would ask as well. But having come from, okay, I bought a place that was fully ready to go, pretty much just some minor stuff, to another place where, okay, maybe we updated a bathroom, to here where you redid the whole thing. Do you feel like you've been building kind of that investor muscle and now feel comfortable to take on bigger projects?
Yeah, I definitely think I like could do that in terms of like the experience that I've built up. It's definitely taught me a lot, and I think that I know a lot more in terms of like running a renovation and like what it takes down to like like what is the size of the sheetrock versus like what kind of mud do you want, like those type of details. I'm definitely getting more keen on and understand more now. But I say the only thing that would hold me back is time, right? Like it's work, and like even when you're not in there swinging the hammers and like doing the work, just managing the guys and like even managing the managers, right? Because like it's different contractors coming in, and they got their guys, so like making sure everyone is like doing what they're supposed to be doing and not taking stuff. Because the job site at this point, I got two apartments running, and I have my shed in the back, and there's like some stuff back there. So just yeah, man, it's definitely I'd say a grind, and you have to kind of be ready for that. I say and like understand what you're stepping into, and a lot of times like I think the renovation I did in the beginning of the year, I didn't really understand what I was stepping into, and like I didn't take the time, I'll say, to sit down and plan it out and like really get a spreadsheet down. But this time I tried to learn from those mistakes, and I took like a day before any of the work started, before any like I accepted any quotes, and just like made a schedule and made a list and made like kind of a detailed, project plan for what needed to happen. And I think that really allowed it to run in a pretty efficient manner. And everything was like, went pretty smoothly. Like there were a couple bumps, I think it happens for sure. But like for the most part, I was definitely pretty happy with how things went. And just like, I'd say getting multiple quotes is something I've learned now. So if I do nothing else, in the project, I'm going to get multiple quotes because you have no idea. Like at least I'll say I have no idea what like a lot of the work goes for. Like even what like the rate is supposed to be, right? So you'll look online, like sure, but a lot of things are specific to a market or like depending on your location. So yeah, I think that's definitely one thing I've learned, and I'm writing that down, right? That's an SOP in the business now. So that's something I've really gotten keen on too, is writing things down that I think are important and are big steps that I need to be taking. So yeah, that's what I'll say
And
about that. But yeah,
to that point, I think you said it perfectly. Like, it just takes a little bit more of intention, right? And yes, it's annoying at the time, but it saves you so much time, energy on the back end. If you just write it down, you have the spreadsheet. I have the same thing. I get the bids. I'm like, okay, I plug it all into a spreadsheet and I put like a link to like the quote that they sent me, right? It takes a little bit of time up front, but then I also next to it, I put what it actually came in at. Some of it comes in a little bit under, a lot of it comes in over, right? Like, okay, I did a renovation project on a unit last year, one in the fourplex, right? One of those units. And I want to say the total was supposed to be like 30K and it came back at like 34 or something like that, which is not bad. I'm like, okay, this is what like 11%, 12% over. That's within reason considering the things that popped up and whatnot. But it helps you start to know like, okay, this is what this can cost. And then when you find better contractors, okay, this person can do flooring at a lower cost because this is all they do. This person can paint. And then you start to build a team. And yeah, I get excited about this stuff because I've slowly been building that team since moving to Atlanta. And the next step, I believe, even personally within my real estate, is 2025. I want to get into a couple more flips. I've done some in the past, more with partners. Now I want to make sure we can start building out like a quasi flipping company and do a couple next year.
that's awesome.
Come
That's
on
super
now.
cool. Yeah, and
You
I get excited about that too. Building a team is definitely something to get excited about because it can really help you expand and grow and start to do things like that. So that's super cool, man.
Yes. And before we continue, one question in the chat from Joel. Joel, good to hear from you. What are some good locations in the Metro Atlanta area to buy furniture and home items that may be great for Airbnb that you have seen? I'm going to kick this over to Kanayo first. What do you got?
Me, I strictly do Amazon though. I never really buy. Like it's just convenient. So I've rarely bought anything outside Amazon for most of my Airbnb. Every furniture I have is from Amazon, cheap and cheap.
That's actually amazing. And I mean, you can get literally anything from there, and it gives you the tracking. You can
Yes.
return it quickly if there's something damaged. Like
Yeah,
they
it's so
just made it
convenient
convenient.
because even like when it comes to returns to like for every Airbnb I furnish, once we're done with everything, it's time for returns. So like sometimes my car is full of like items that we have to, and it's just easy. It just makes it very convenient. So I rather not buy. The only time I ever try to buy even an appliance outside, okay, no, I buy my appliances from any of the Home Depot or sorry, what's it called? What's the place you electronics from Best Buy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
from
Best
Best Buy.
Buy.
But I think the only time, because I think I spoke to you the last time when I needed to buy electronics from like somewhere cheaper. I went to the places and it didn't look good enough, or I didn't want to also take the risk of having to do that and have to start paying for insurance. So I rather just went to Best Buy and just bought some. Yeah.
And get a new one. Yeah, that's the one thing. You can get it and they tell you, hey, it's gonna work, and you got like one day or so, but after that one day, it's it's on you. Desmond, what you got, man? What you got for recommendations?
No, I'm right there with you, Kanaya. I'm definitely Amazon's biggest fan. Like I'd say man, 60-70% of my furniture is also from Amazon. Now I will also say IKEA is my number two. So a lot of my like bigger items, especially like couch, like stuff I kind of want to see in person. There's some stuff I'm okay with getting online, but some stuff I actually want to see and like sit on. So like the couch, and just certain things like that. I tried going to some of the restoration stores, because I think that's one recommendation that you'll get. And I tried what is the popular one? Home for Habitat.
Habitat for Habitat for
Yeah,
Humanity.
yeah, the Habitat for Humanity homes. So I tried those restores, but it's hit or miss, right? You have to catch it on the right day. So I think if you have some time on your hands and you're not in the middle of the project, or in the middle of, getting your B&B up and running, you're not in a time crunch, that can be okay. And like, going to some of those like outlet stores, and I think they're not necessarily always in Atlanta, they're kind of more on the outskirts, but there's a lot of like furniture outlet stores you can find just on the maps. Those are good if you catch them at the right time, but like a lot of the stuff, it's like, oh, it's like, you need two, they only got one, or like you can get it, but it's coming in like 4 weeks, and it's like so a lot of my stuff, mostly for the convenience factor, is from Amazon or from IKEA. IKEA, I know they're gonna bring it, they'll build it for a little fee. Amazon, they'll take it back, no questions asked. And that's really nice when you are ordering 100 things, and you are managing a lot of different pieces.
Yeah, and I like both of those recommendations, and those used to be my go-tos early on. It still is for IKEA. I've strayed away from, not gonna lie here, in the most recent times because we use a designer for most of these now. But Amazon's great for like the recurring items. So like spoons, right? You're gonna need a Keurig. All this stuff, Amazon. All of that, right? But when it comes down to the actual furniture pieces and like the mattresses and things of that nature, tend to go to a myriad of home goods. We have a connect over at what's the mattress firm, because we bought literally like 30 or 40 mattresses in the last 2 years from him. So he just slashes the price as much as he can, as much as they'll allow him to, for mattress firm. And then, for certain pieces, if the house like needs a pop, we'll go to Rooms to Go to get like a dope solid couch. Like when we did the art house, which is like the luxury sports art gallery out in Marietta, that couch that we got out there is a Rooms to Go couch, and it's nicer than the couch I got in my living room. Like I wish I actually had that couch, and it's been solid, no issues whatsoever. We've tried to go the cheaper route on some of these things, and we just find that, hey, it gets stained or it just gets damaged and things of that nature. But Joel, if you really are looking for like savings, I actually have a couple B&Bs that we've recently sold for clients that have furniture where we could work out a deal where you can get a whole bunch of furniture for your house for pretty cheap. You can also look on Facebook Market. If you're willing to kind of hustle a little bit and drive around, which is what I was doing initially, you can get some amazing deals on dope furniture like West Elm furniture and couches and desks on Facebook Market. The only thing is you have to drive around, go pick it up. Sometimes you got to rent a U-Haul if it's big, and that can get annoying. And you got to start to factor in your cost of time.
And one more thing I'll add to that too. I think it can also depend on the quality of listing that you're setting up and the type of guests that you're aiming for, right? So if you're setting up for, like for me, it's 1 bedrooms, and I've got 2 bedroom Airbnb as well, and they're more in the mid range, right? Like they're definitely not luxury and like high end units. So I think my listings can afford, and the prices, kind of based upon the level and like the quality of the listing, right? And I understand like my lane, I guess, for lack of better words. And I think, for more of the higher end listings, like I just helped Steven set up his booking.com listing. And I don't think he's in there in the Southern Peach Mansion, which is a beautiful home, by the way. I was telling him, it's dope, that house.
He's
dude.
killing it on Airbnb.
I know, I saw he's got 5 stars, like 15 reviews. But in a house of that caliber, it's like 5 or 6 bedrooms. It's like really big, and the price is, up to that caliber. I don't think he is opting for that level, and I think I can tell, at least by his pictures, it's more of a higher end. I think his guests that's what he's tailoring toward, and the price is adjusted to that as well.
Come on now. And to that point, that's always super important. We got to take all this with a caveat. You got to look at which market are you trying to appeal to, and kind of match that. You don't
Stay in your lane
too much, right? Especially like a smaller unit, things of that nature. But Kanayo, so we were talking about the car piece, and then last week, I don't even know that we finished the full conversation. Did that help last week when we were talking about kind of like the hospitable, and have you tried and started doing that?
Lie, my subscription expired yesterday, my trial, and I didn't renew.
You gotta pay, man. Forget the free trials. You gotta pay
I didn't
them.
renew because now my biggest problem, or the biggest thing I need right now, is increasing my occupancy. managing, like most of all those things that I'm getting from Hospitable, Airbnb already does them for me, to be honest with you. It's not a problem to send my I've not also figured out how to use Hospitable to send the cleaners. I think it's been a mess actually using it because I don't know how to put the settings properly where it can send to the cleaners like the day before. Because my cleaners just get 50 messages, like, and they're wondering what to do, what was this for? And they also don't get the right dates. So like those prompts are not properly set in my own system. So that's the reason why I think I've not renewed again, because at this point where I am, it's not helping me do anything. The only thing that I think it might be beneficial for me is if I'm actually going to know that it's going to increase my occupancy through the 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 what do you call it, outside Airbnb, just having my own portal with the
Direct
link. Yeah,
posting,
yeah, the
the direct
website,
site.
exactly. That's if that was because I tried to push that, and if I'd gotten maybe at least a lead from that, I would have been very motivated to stick to it. But I've not been motivated since I've had it for 2 weeks and almost a week actually. Yeah, I guess not up 2 weeks.
Kanayo, have you ever heard the saying
I
Rome
know.
wasn't built in a day?
I'll try
So
it.
it
How did
takes
you
some
think
time,
before you
and I
got
would just
your first
encourage you.
listing, your first booking on Hospitable Direct?
You said
Yeah,
you said
before
how
you
long
got
did
your
it
first.
take? That's a good question. I was there in the wild west days, right? Like when they were still trying to figure out their direct. I was there before they accepted direct payments. So I was literally, somebody would say, "Hey, I want to go direct." We'd send them the website. They send us the dates, and then I would invoice them through
Oh,
QuickBooks, right? And say, "Hey, we're not going to accept this until you pay the invoice in QuickBooks." So that was before it got as clean as it is now. And so I don't actually remember how long. But what I will say is, yes, you want to increase occupancy. That's most important. But you got to increase efficiency too, man. Like when I look at the business, it's almost like going back to the conversations we used to have with Desmond when he was still the head cleaner
no,
of all of his
hold
properties. It's
on.
like, dude, like
I
you're
clean
gonna expand.
me like I cleaned my first house myself a couple of
You got to
yeah, but it
start there.
helped me at that point in time to kind of like pay. I mean, I'm not doing that anymore, but at that point in time, it helped me a lot to pay off some of my credit card debts. So sometimes
True.
you gotta roll up your sleeves and do what you gotta do.
Come on now.
There you go.
Early on, there's nothing wrong with that, but you do have to have the end in mind. And with you, like you're expanding, you're starting to build up how many that you're managing. And so like the cleaner piece that you're talking about, all that is tweaks that you can work out. I'm sure Desmond's got it figured out. And he offers consulting as well. I would get with Desmond on like maybe setting that piece up, but once you set it up one time, it's smooth. I'm working with 3 different cleaning teams now because I mean, when you get to a lot of properties, it starts to be hard for one team to handle it. And it's so easy now to just switch them in and out, and it just automatically sends everything. That's one. And then it also gives you the opportunity to, like, you're using Price Labs, correct?
I'm
Or
not using
Beyond
any of
Pricing?
them. I use
You,
okay, I use right now
okay.
Airbnb's pricing. I use the what do you call it? The Airbnb pricing, auto pricing thing.
The
And
smart pricing, I think.
Yeah.
I would get, if you're looking for a bang for your buck, that would be the one that's the bang for your buck. But I would hook it up through Hospitable because then it's easier to
Mhm.
control all of them. You could sync them individually, but then you'd have to do all the Airbnbs and all the VRBOs separately, which would take a long time. If you link it through Hospitable, it's just one price labs per property, and then you can optimize that. The price labs will give you a bang for your buck. Desmond, would you agree on that?
Yeah, I would. I feel like though it sounds like you're mainly focused or you're mainly on Airbnb in terms of the OTA that you're using. So I feel like Hospitable is while it's definitely still useful and like for me I wouldn't be able to go without it. Oh, I think you got an echo. Yeah, I think it's you. Um but in the echo chamber over there. But yeah, so I think that for like the single like OTA, like when you're just using Airbnb, it can definitely still be useful for sure, like for those automatic messages, for automatically setting the smart lock, for automatically sending tasks to the cleaners if you manage your cleaners through Hospitable, doing the pricing from one place and like all just having it all in one place. But like I think to increase your occupancy, right, and then also where Hospitable becomes a lot more useful is when you're using the multiple OTAs. So when you're on VRBO, if you are on Booking.com, or if you let me help you get on booking.com, and you're on those 3 platforms, and like have those be your base, and then also expand to direct. I think direct is good, and I think I was kind of laughing in my head like asking that question to Niyi, because he's like, what, like one day? Like, what do you mean? Like, it took like we set it up and we had a guest the same day. So I think it's hard, when you have like, at that scale, right? I think the needs and like the ask are a little different, where it's like if you're not on direct at that scale, it's almost like, what are you doing right now? Even for me, right, it's like, what are you doing? So it's something I have on my still to do to have set up by the end of the year. But I really think though that where hospitable comes into like being super valuable, and honestly it's like, I hope they're not watching this, almost like undervalued, right? Where like it's for me critical to have like really just for me automatic messaging, automatically setting the smart lock, and being able to kind of block the dates on multiple platforms and manage multiple platforms all in one, and especially across multiple listings too, because you can see it all in one place. It's critical. Like I was doing it beforehand without it, and well, like almost on accident, right? Because I knew I was going to use hospitable from the jump, but a few of them slipped through before I could actually set it up, and it was like, oh my god, like even just between the 2 listings, it was tough making sure things were coordinated between like Booking.com and Airbnb and then VRBO. So yeah, I feel like it's critical, especially when you are on those multiple OTAs and you can really justify that like thing, $30-$40 a month, which like QuickBooks is like triple that.
Cricket was like 80.
Because I don't think,
And to that point,
I don't think
go ahead.
it justifies me paying like I've not gotten justification for me paying over seven. I would say because of the number of listings I have, it will be close to $100, maybe like $80 a month. Because where I am right now,
How are you doing the messaging right now? How many listings do you have, and how are you doing the messaging and the smart lock
Airbnb does all
settings?
of that right now. My locks are connected to Airbnb.
Okay.
My messaging, there are automated messages that I have for immediately customer books, immediately 24 hours to customers booking, day after customers booking, send this message, day before customer booking, send this message. Like there are automated messages for everything.
I think that's the answer to your original question right there. Like it's all in Airbnb, right? You are locked in to Airbnb, and which is great because I mean it's a dope platform and that's instant exposure right there. But if you were to like really, I think, lean into VRBO, if you have multiple listings and like especially if they're a bit larger, because I think VRBO is more tailored to like vacation homes, but also Booking.com for sure, and like even like Google has some rental stuff going on now, and like the direct site, that's the increase of occupancy I think that you're looking for. Even just going on Booking.com, I think can help you. Not trying to toot my own,
but it does.
business.
I mean,
Yeah.
Booking.com is solid, and the piece with the price labs is real. If you're using the Airbnb software, it's cool. But Price Lab's going to help you get a much bigger bang for your buck because they're looking at everything. Airbnb is just looking at what they got, right? And saying, okay, how do we undercut our prices? Price Labs, like we have somebody who's looking to book this Thanksgiving week. We don't have a booking for it yet for this luxury B&B, but they just inquired for it. We answered their question, and it looks like they are going to reserve. They're going to be paying $700 a night. Now, because it's a 5-bedroom, right? Now, if it was Airbnb would cut that down significantly. Yes, it'd be booked, but you wouldn't be getting these X multiples, but because we're using that software and it knows all the people around, it's like, oh, there's people still trying to book. Okay, we're going to make a premium on this. Same thing for like next year. We had somebody book that same luxury property for February of next year for something that's happening. They booked for like 5 days. They're paying $4,500. We're going to get like 39 of that, right? And it's through Airbnb, but the pricing software helped us maximize that much, much more and more effective. But guys, we are at time. I just want to leave you with one thing, Kanayo, and that's just to think to the future, man. Think to the future, all right? Right now, you're super tied to Airbnb. In the future, you want to have all the platforms.
I'm getting on all platforms, so I have that in mind. Saying that.
Come on now, absolutely. No, I appreciate you guys jumping on. Joel, we appreciate the question through the chat, and we will catch you a little bit later.
Guys.
Pistos.
Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern as we explore different types of investments that can fast track your path to